I think that the last thing we have to do inside of our application is maybe do a little bit of formatting on this text right here, and also add in some nice animation so that whenever a row expands, we get a nice smooth expansion as opposed to the very abrupt, like, boom, here's some text. So first, let's take care of the styling for our text, and this shouldn't be too bad. Inside of my list item component, I'm going to find my render description method, and for my text tag, I'm just going to wrap it with another card section. So card section and closing card section, like so. And this is going to serve to just give my card set or my text a little bit of margin on either side, and also make sure that it's just, give myself a bottom border there as well. So let's refresh this, test it out, and well, okay, it's off the edge and we've got a bottom border there, but now the text is running off the screen. So this is just a little bit of an oddity with the way that views and text work. We can fix this by adding on a style property to the text tag itself. So on the text tag, I'm going to add on a style, just right in line, of flex1. And this is going to tell the text tag, do not wrap your text or do not cut your text off the screen. Wrap your text, make sure that it takes up as much space as it needs to. So let's refresh this now. And okay, now we're looking pretty darn good. We've got a reasonable amount of padding on the left-hand side, and we've got a nice bottom border, all that kind of good stuff. If you want to add in some additional padding to the left and right-hand side, just to push the text off a little bit more, go for it, totally up to you. But I'm pretty happy with the way it looks right now. Okay, the last thing we have to do here is add in some animation. So the whole goal here is that whenever a section expands, it should occur like in a nice sliding fashion, and like the text should fade in, all that kind of good stuff. So without talking too much about animation at all, like I'm not going to say anything about it just yet, I'm going to add in some code, just a couple lines, and we're going to see where that gets us, okay? So first, on my React Native library up top, I'm going to import another library, or another element, I should say, called layout animation. And notice, just because I have so many properties here now, I chose to new line my import statements. That's just a stylistic thing that I like to do. If you don't want to do it, that's totally fine. So I just imported layout animation. Again, I'm not going to say anything about it just yet. The next thing I'm going to do is add in a lifecycle method called component will update. Again, I'm not going to say what it does just yet. Just bear with me. And then inside of here, I'll call layout animation dot spring. Okay, so all we did was import layout animation, added in a lifecycle method, and we'll talk about when it's called in just a second here, and then called layout animation dot spring. Nothing else. I'm going to refresh my application, and then I'm going to click on something here, and whoa, hot dog. Wow, that is awesome. We basically got for free, like no work required, some awesome little animation of whenever we change or enter in the currently selected library, click on a different one, it expands nicely, it kind of bounces, and the text fades in on top of that. That is madness, total madness. Like, this is sweet. This is one of the best things about React Native right here. For such little work, we get some pretty awesome animations. So clearly this layout animation thing right here is totally awesome. Let's spend some time to figure out exactly how it works. So I'm going to pull up a diagram and let's check this thing out. Okay, so on the bottom here, kind of going from like left to right, is you can kind of think of as time. So this arrow is like time going along. So let's walk through this cycle here. First, a user presses on a library. Now, as we know, that will call our action creator. That action creator will return an action that gets sent to all of our reducers. So the reducers will rerun. They will assemble some amount of new application state. That new application state automatically gets sent down to our map state to props functions, which causes our components to re-render, and boom, all of a sudden our view updates on the screen. Okay, so that's like what happens. That is the cycle that we have right now. So the layout animation is a little hook on that very last step right here. If we call layout animation at any time, before our component's updates are shown on the screen, and that is exactly when this lifecycle method component will update is called. If we call layout animation.spring at any point in time before our component gets updated on the screen, all the updates on the device's screen will be automatically animated for us in any way possible. So any element that is moving around will have its movement animated smoothly. Any text that appears will fade in smoothly. Any text that goes away will fade out slowly. All we have to do is make sure that we call the layout animation.spring method before this update takes place. And that's pretty much it. It is incredibly easy to get some animation going within your apps, so I really suggest you call layout animation.spring within reason, don't go overboard. The only downside that we saw to our animation here was that if you'll notice, if I've got one open up top and then like I open one at the bottom and then open another one up top again, the text kind of like bounces through at the bottom there. Yeah, definitely funky. Unfortunately, there's not exactly an easy workaround for us. And so that's why layout animation is not always a catch-all solution. It's not always going to do the perfectly nice looking thing for us. Nonetheless, as an engineer, I personally love that we have smooth animations here, even though we didn't have to spend a lot of time putting it together. So I think that I can deal with that kind of weird aspect to it if I could eventually figure out a workaround. Okay, last thing I want to do is just make sure that it's clear this lifecycle method right here. Remember, lifecycle methods, all we have to do is define them, and then they will automatically be called for us. So this particular one, component will update, is called whenever the component is about to be re-rendered to the device. That's pretty much it. All right, our app is looking fantastic. Let's do a review of everything in the next section.